So if you start saying free Palestine publicly, whether online or in person, and you start getting comments saying, oh, does that mean that you hate all Jewish people? So what that is that it's one of two things or a mixture of both. So one, it is a diversion tactic. It is meant to shock you because it is a shocking thing to say. Like, what? Of course not. It puts you on the defensive, and then it derails the conversation because you're just completely distracted about defending yourself and assuring presumably the Jewish person, but even if a non-Jewish person says the same thing, which they do that as well, like assuring them that you're not anti-Semitic, of course you don't hate all Jewish people, and like you're so on the defensive, and again, just completely derails the conversation, which of course is the goal. The second reason this is said so much, and this is not coming from me, this is from, I'm watching, listening to Jewish folks who are pro-Palestine, and I'm just sharing that with you. I'm not making this up. If you want to see it from the mouth of a Jewish person, please be my guest. There are plenty of videos that you can find online, on TikTok, on Instagram, with Jewish people saying the same thing. So please feel free to fact check me. You will find videos of Jewish people saying the same thing. So I'm just sharing that with you all. So from a young age, they have been taught, it's been ingrained in them to see Judaism, their Jewish identity, and the state of Israel as like intertwined, like inseparable, right? So if someone does speak up against the state of Israel for the specific reason of the actions of oppression and murder and harm that the state government commits, not at all because it just happens to be a Jewish state, but it is a government that causes great harm, and so people criticize it. 1 + 1 = 2. But because so many Jewish folks have been raised, again, seeing Israel and their Jewish identity, which, yes, in many contexts outside of the state of Israel, is a deeply oppressed identity, and they have been deeply marginalized for eons, right? Which is completely valid. So merging these two together in this very murky sort of like, okay, so if someone criticizes Israel, presumably I'm a Jewish person, have been so ingrained to see Israel as me as Israel is so much a part of my identity that in their mind they jump straight to, oh, you're criticizing all Jews or Judaism or me, like my existence. Like, no, not at all. Something I've been sharing with other creators who are also speaking up about Palestine. So you all, whether you're a content creator or not, like this can be something that you can think about, like reflect on. You don't have to take my word for it. Like I'm just putting this information to you all to think about and reflect on, right? Like the people that I'm engaging with, like these commenters, people I actually respond to at any length in the comments, are people that I can see have like a good faith effort that they genuinely want to understand. And if you come to a different conclusion, then great, awesome, do so. But I do feel like you will come to see what I'm trying to say. So where I'm going with this is that the examples that I use, like the analogy is that in, like I'm American, so in the United States, we have white Christian nationalism. And many of us, we are highly critical of white Christian nationalism. Okay, great. And especially like as a Muslim, like before all of this Palestine content, I've had plenty of videos where I've done criticisms of white Christian nationalism and Christian supremacy and all of that. So I have done that before and had those conversations. And when Christians come into my comment section or they talk to me or whatever, like people who are white Christian nationalists find it deeply offensive because they see it as, oh, you're anti-Christian. You are anti-Christianity as a whole. And I'm like, no, not at all. This is a political ideology where you have merged your religious identity with this like political domination ideology where you think you're better and you could do everything that you want to do, and even if that means violence, like you're justified because you believe so much in like that you are right and you can enact your rightness by any means necessary, even if that means violence, because you're in the right. But obviously many Christians who are not white Christian nationalists know, hopefully, and they should know, that like I and other people who criticize white Christian nationalism are not at all necessarily, it depends on the person, but like I'll speak for myself, I have nothing against like Christianity as it existed, like as a religion. Like there are many beautiful things about Christians, especially as a Muslim. There's so much that we have in common with Christians. There's so many beautiful things that Christians do. Amazing human beings, awesome. awesome. Like, this is not being anti-Christian to criticize a political ideology in the same way as non-Muslims and Muslims as well, by the way, will criticize ISIS or the Taliban or something like that. Like, and Muslims don't take it as, oh, you hate all Muslims, or you hate, I mean, except for there are non-Muslims who like hate all Muslims. So like that as a separate thing. But like, we as Muslims don't see like, oh, someone's criticizing ISIS and I feel offended. Like, no, I hate ISIS too. Like I hate them. Like, I agree with you. Like, let's criticize them together, right? Like, I'm not taking that personally at all, right? That doesn't go over to, oh, you criticizing ISIS means that you hate all Muslims or that you're anti-Islam. Not at all. Those are not necessarily, like, not at all the same things, right? Someone might hate ISIS and also hate all of Islam, but those are like, that's a separate thing, right? So the idea being the state of Israel is based in the political ideology of Zionism, which we can talk more about that later. But the whole idea, again, is like, it's a political ideology that is enmeshed toxically with the religion of Judaism, which long predates the existence of Zionism. There are also many anti-Zionist Jews. There's so many Jews who speak up against Israel, right? And like are doing such incredibly difficult work to call out their own community and to call out the harm that is being done in the name of what Israelis say is their religion, right? So that, in a very long-winded way, is explaining that if you speak out and say, hey, free Palestine, like even just that little short statement, just free Palestine, some people might come and approach you and say, hey, oh, do you hate all Jews? Do you hate Judaism? It's like, no, not at all, right? And just understand that one of the reasons, again, could be that they see Jewish identity, Judaism, so deeply intertwined with the state of Israel because that's what they've like had so deeply ingrained in them from childhood that they see it as interconnected in a way that cannot be separated. And so when you criticize one, you criticize the other. And the other one being, of course, that is just a diversion tactic. It's just trying to like shock you into being on the defensive. And all of a sudden you're just completely derailed. You're overwhelmed. You're confused. You're like, oh my God, no, like I didn't mean to, like, and boom, end of conversation.